ladies and gentlemen, do not adjust your set. I am Hitman Cause. Welcome to a special edition of the Contracts. And of course, I'm not here alone. Everybody, as always, welcome the humble man Gary. Gary, welcome to the Contracts.
What's up, my man? Cos Payton. Good to be here. Good to be here.
Yeah, it's been a wild few days, hasn't it?
Yeah, man.
Well, I'm sure a majority of the wrestling community knows what happened, but for those of you who have been living under a rock, allow the humble man to explain what's happening. Go ahead.
Well, what happened this past Monday? Sasha Banks and Naomi, they walked out on Monday Night Raw. Behind the scenes, they put the tag team titles down on the table and walked out because they feel the way they're being booked as a tag team is not fair. And that shocked the hell out of me. I actually took a nap and fell asleep, and that's why I missed my man Carl's phone call. I was sleeping, I was tired, and I woke up to that news. I'm like, yo.
Yeah. A little bit of context. What was supposed to happen was that there was supposed to be a six woman. I'm guessing battle royal or something, where the winner would be the number one contender for the Raw Women's title. And initially, what was supposed to happen was that I think Naomi was booked to win, but even though with Naomi winning, they weren't down with that because upon winning the tag titles, Sasha Banks and Naomi were promised a whole bunch of things. Main event tag matches, just a bunch of high profile matches, to make the women's tag titles look worth obtaining, and make them worth meaning something. And then I guess at the last second, they went back on their word. So, and so this plan, they weren't, because what was supposed to happen afterwards was that eventually down the line, I'm guessing that upon getting the title match, Naomi was gonna do the job to Bianca, to build her up as champion. And then apparently Sasha was gonna eventually face Ronda for the SmackDown title, but she was gonna do the job as well. Now for them to both do the job is particularly bad because it does discredit the women's tag titles, considering that among those plans, I don't recall any of those involving them losing the titles. So for the tag champs to lose to the main champs like that, it would hurt the credibility of the tag titles. So at this point, I'm playing devil's advocate, where at the same time, I do understand their sentiments and their frustrations. Like, I'd be frustrated too because you're making my titles look weak by having us lose. But at the same time, I'm not on their side, because at the end of the day, what they did was unprofessional.
Exactly. Oh,
damn. And don't get me wrong, I understand. You want the titles to mean something. You want people to make them to make people want to care about them, want to invest in the titles. But at the same time, this ain't the way to do it. Cause by you walking out, no, the titles aren't even gonna be on TV. And if they aren't on TV, people are gonna quickly forget about them. So what I might say might not make sense, but by doing that, I feel it's being counterproductive, if anything else.
I got you.
What happened? Go ahead.
I got what you're saying perfectly. I see what you mean.
Yeah, and with Sasha Banks in particular, this is the second time she's pulled some shit like this, and because Humble Man, if you remember the first time she pulled something like this.
Right. Yeah, I do.
Yeah. If y'all don't remember, at which WrestleMania was it, dude? When they were with her and Bailey were the tag champs, the first champs.
First tag champs. This had that been WrestleMania. Oh, 35.
Yeah. Okay. WrestleMania 35 was the venue. What happened was Sasha and Bailey were the first women's tag team champions, and they defended the titles in a fatal 4-way tag team match against Naomi and Nia Jax and Tamina, Beth Phoenix and Natalya, and the Iconics. And in the match, the Iconics won, in a pretty clever way. In the closing moments of the match, Beth Phoenix was about to hit Bailey with a glam slam from the top rope, but before they dropped and connected with the move, Billy Kay made a blind tag on Bailey. So then once the move hit, hit a blind tag on Beth Phoenix. So then once you hit the move, Peyton Royce threw Beth Phoenix out of the ring, and then what's his face? And then Billy pinned Bailey to win the match. Now, first off, it was a big moment for the land down under. You know, shout out to Australia for them to win the titles, and you know, the Iconics going into the match minus Sasha and Bailey to an extent were the only legit women's tag team. So it only made sense for them to win the titles.
Exactly.
But it's what happened after the match that is what had people talking. Is because after the match, when everyone went backstage, apparently Sasha threw a tantrum and was laying on the floor and shit. And then after that, she supposedly walked out, or just took, you know, a whole bunch of months off.
Right.
And she didn't come back. She didn't come back for a good minute until she dyed her hair blue.
Right.
And look here. Like, I really can't criticize Naomi much for this walkout, mainly because this is the first time she's done it. I still think it's very unprofessional of her, but for Sasha, you know, I really at this point I'm disgusted, because from her notoriously being known for having a bad attitude backstage, and then with this being the second time she's done it, like, I'm gonna just flat out say it. She's a female Antonio Brown. And if anybody gets mad at me for saying that, I don't give a fuck.
Oh shit.
Like, freaking, y'all can say whatever the fuck you want. As far as I'm concerned, Sasha's being a diva. She's being a female Antonio Brown, and she needs it, and her attitude needs to get checked, and she needs to get over herself.
Oh damn.
And then for all you Sasha stans that stay riding her ass, thinking she the next best thing since sliced bread. Understand this. Listen to my words. Understand me very carefully. WWE does not need her. They don't. They do not need her whatsoever. They can take just about any and any wrestler there right now, just about, not any wrestler, but just about any wrestler, and build them to the top to the top popularity that Sasha had. And also, let me give you a bit of a news flash. Let me give y'all a bit of history lesson. Maybe like what 2-3 years ago. Correct me if I'm wrong. Wasn't Becky Lynch the hottest thing going? She was so popular. She was up there with the guys as far as popularity went, as far as merch sales went. I don't recall Sasha Banks doing that. But yet all the Sasha Banks stands are all up on WWE's ass and shit. Let me tell you something. WWE did just, even though the quality went down and the match quality went down and fan attendance might have went down. Even still, when The Rock left for Hollywood, WWE did just fine. When Steve Austin walked out, WWE did just fine. When Cena left for movies, WWE did just fine. And I guarantee that if Sasha never comes back, that they will do perfectly fine. Or better yet, I'll put it in female wrestler terms. They did perfectly fine when Lita left, even though that was a pretty foul send off with the wholesale. But I digress. They did perfectly fine when Trish left. That for me, that was no skin off their nose. They did perfectly fine when they released Mickie James. They did perfectly fine when Michelle McCool retired. They did perfectly fine when Layla called it a career. So bottom line, she is not bigger than WWE, and she never will be. No one person is bigger than a company. No one person, not even The Rock, not Hulk Hogan, not Ric Flair. No one is bigger than a single company. No one. I feel like it's a bit one-sided. Anything you want to say about the situation? Your opinions, Hummer Man?
My opinions about it is that, like, it's surprising. Honestly speaking, I hope both of them come back. But there's some news that came out today, though, saying that Naomi's WWE contract is expiring. So maybe this is a way of negotiating. Maybe she's doing some thinking to negotiate a new deal or what have you, such and such. So that's the news that came out today. So it's like, we'll see what's up.
Okay. Now also, let me also say something else. You know, for me, I know, usually it's a 3 strikes and you're out thing as far as how I feel when it comes to employment. You feel me? Yo.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But in this case, for me, it's 2 and you're gone. Because first off, when it comes to walking out, period, when it comes to any job, there is no second chance. Sasha, it just got lucky because she's that big of a star, and also Snoop Dogg's her cousin.
Exactly.
And also, let me also make something clear to the Sasha Banks stands. WWE made her a star. She ain't make herself a star on her own. That was WWE. Don't get me wrong. She has the talent. She has the charisma. She has the wrestling skills. That much I will never dispute. But WWE made her a star. She didn't make herself a star on her own. She didn't get over on her own. That was WWE's doing.
Right, yeah.
And sure, there are people who did get over on their own, but Sasha's not one of them. Now, I'm sorry, you were saying?
No, I'm saying that's crazy. What you were saying?
Yeah, well, a lot of people say especially when it comes to this situation, that either uh, they either no, I'm not going into that, but
I understand.
and
Right.
I would like to play. Mm, mm, I would, try to look at it from their point of view. Try to side with the people that's defending them, but I can't because
Oh wow.
the biggest reason why I can't is because of them walking out. It's unprofessional, you know.
Yeah, I feel what you mean.
And sure, I keep going to that unprofessional crap, but like, I'm just not down with walking out. Now, we can compare. Now, as far as walking out, we can compare this to when CM Punk walked out. But here's the biggest compare. Here's the biggest difference between them walking out and Punk walking out. For one thing, Punk wasn't a champion. That's number one. Number two, he as far as we know, there was no real direction at that point for him besides being anti-authority. So had he stayed, it wasn't, no one knows. I bet you maybe rumors or insiders probably knew what he was gonna do. But as far as I'm concerned, I know what he was gonna do had he stayed. So, and then on top of that, he was completely burnt out from wrestling.
Crazy.
WWE put him through the ringer, and unfortunately, as Paul Heyman said, he lost his passion for wrestling. Whereas in their case, one, they're champions. Two, they were scheduled to be a part of an important match and shit.
Yeah, correct.
Where bottom line, that they were in the middle of doing something, whereas Punk wasn't. Last thing he did was be in the Royal Rumble. That's it.
Exactly.
And there was no talk, no plans of him rejoin, of him being a part of any storyline at all. At least not as far as I know.
Right. That's crazy.
And then another comparison I want to point this to. Somebody put on Twitter. I think they partially had a point, but at the same time, part of me thought they were an idiot. Now let me get into. Somebody tried to compare them walking out to Tony Storm quitting,
Shit.
and
That's completely different.
exactly. But let me explain why I thought it was why I understood the comparison, but I disagree with it.
Yeah.
I understand the comparison because they both left the company. But here's the biggest difference. Tony quit, meaning she contractually and she ended her contractual agreement to her employer, whereas they just walked out. Where even though they had a contractually obligated task to do, they refused to do it and decided to leave under their own jurisdiction.
Right.
And then on top of that, there's a bunch of other variables too. Well, not variables. A bunch of things that separated. Whereas another thing is, again, they are champions. Tony wasn't.
Exactly.
And on top of that, and even further than that, they were former champions on the main roster. Tony wasn't. Freaking.
I hope they gave Tony the belt. If she was still there, but she's not no more.
Well, I think she was feuding with Charlotte while she was champ, so so maybe it would have happened. And
right.
then on top of that, freaking Tony was in the middle of, well, I wouldn't say in the middle of a storyline, but but she was involved in a storyline where she got humiliated and shit. Whereas Sasha and Naomi were in my opinion looking fairly good as champs. They were looking pretty. They were on the verge of looking pretty dominant.
Right.
Well,
They were.
whereas once again, freaking, you know. Whereas once again you got this, and get this.
Yeah.
The Sasha stands don't know when to quit because now, actually no, this really doesn't have much to do with it. Oh wait a minute, actually it does, because now the Sasha stands are jumping down Alexa Bliss's back for tweeting her regards to Stephanie McMahon, who's taking time off because she didn't say anything about Sasha and Naomi, whether say anything for them or against them. Like y'all niggas are ridiculous, man. First off, once again, they unprofessionally walked out, and second of all, even though she works there, and you know she is a fellow superstar, you know, one could argue that it's not her business to give her opinion, but at the same time, other wrestlers there also did give their opinions. But hey, just cause she ain't share her opinion about it doesn't mean she isn't paying attention to it or has some type of way she feels about it. She just ain't speak about it.
That's right.
But nah, they wanna.
That's true.
But nah, they wanna fucking jump down her back about that. Like leave her alone.
That's crazy.
But back to what I was saying about Toni Storm and comparing her to them. Like, yeah, like actually no. As far as I'm concerned, I think her feud with Charlotte was over because she had the title match, but unfortunately she lost.
That's correct.
But even still, like I said, she quit. They walked out. There's a big difference. Now quitting to an extent isn't looked that highly upon, but it's a lot more respected than walking out. You know?
Right. Exactly. That's correct.
No. And I'll say this: if what was gonna happen happened, honestly, what should have happened was that Sasha and Naomi should have dropped the titles to Natalya and Shayna. Then, while they're not champions, then let the let the 6-woman battle royal happen. Then you know, have Naomi win while she doesn't have a title. Then it would actually make sense for her to build up her credibility as a single star, rise through the ranks, and then use her right, and then from her gaining #1 contendership, have her face Bianca, you know, and then you know, and then of course her do the JLB, and then also Sasha Banks, while not as a champion, build herself up as a single star, and then have her face Ronda for the title, and then have her do the JLB, and then it would still make sense because she's not a champion.
Exactly.
Because while them being the women's tag champs, it wouldn't have made sense for them to face Bianca and Ronda respectively. So
That's a fact.
So with them in that match, it would have made more sense if they weren't the champs. That's why that honestly should have been another reason why Shayna and Natalya should have won. And then
Wow.
go ahead.
Now you say you feel that who should have won?
Natalya and Shayna back when they had their tag team title match on SmackDown last week.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
Yeah.
I mean, I see how you feel, but Naomi and Sasha had to retain those though.
Yeah. I know, because to help build them as a team and make them look stronger. But I'm just saying, if this was gonna happen, then they should have lost the titles.
Right.
And I'm not talking about the walkout. I'm talking about the 6-woman #1 contenders match.
No, I know.
And then on top of that, after they walked out, I still feel maybe they should have changed it to just a fatal 4-way, while still having Doudrop and Nikki ASH in the match. I mean, don't get me wrong, it doesn't make much sense having them in the match, considering that they've done jack shit to earn a #1 contenders match. Because for one thing, Nikki ASH has been off trying to get the 24/7 title, whereas Doudrop hasn't even been on TV in weeks.
Exactly.
But even still, I still wouldn't have minded the match. They probably would have put on just as good of a match as Asuka and Becky did by themselves. But still, some fresh people adding to the match.
Right. No, that's a fact. I got you perfectly.
Yeah, and then at the end of the day, looking at this, just to play devil's advocate again, if they were to come back or want to come back, because they can't just be put back on TV like that, but
Exactly.
but honestly, I'd have to do it like this. For me, I'd give Naomi a second chance, cause she's always been an outstanding competitor. She's always had a great attitude backstage. No one's ever said anything negative about her. She's always been an all-around great person to be around backstage. Great conduct, great person. Hell, and her matches have always been great. Have always ranged from great to watchable. So nothing bad there. Whereas with Sasha,
Right.
I'm sorry, I can't give her another chance. Yeah, you already walked out once. I ain't letting you back again. Cause you already had your chance. You already decided to be unprofessional once and walk out, and thinking you can come back. You ain't getting that again.
What you mean?
You unprofessional once, and we let you get away with it. We ain't letting you get away with it again, because here's the thing: if they let her back, then what precedent does that set for the other superstars? That you two can just walk out and come back and think you can come back. Like, nah. One of them needs to get the boot just to send a message to the other stars.
Right. No, I understand.
And if anything, they both need to get the boot just to further send a message to the stars. Like, you wanna walk out? Don't expect to come back.
Yeah, I see where you're going with it.
And I ain't saying that to be rude or be mean or be against them or anything like that. I'm doing this to make a point. You acted. You were given a contractually obligated task, and you didn't want to do it, so you left. And then by you not getting any repercussions, it's gonna make everyone else think that that hey, I'm not down with this, so I'm going. Now then, by that logic, eventually the inmates are going to run the asylum, which is a bad thing. Look, because freaking the NWCW, the inmates ran the asylum, and look how that turned out.
Right.
So yeah, bottom line, at the very least, Naomi should come back. At the most, neither of them should.
I feel you.
And then, if anything further, I think eventually, if they don't come back by next week at the most, the women's tag title should be vacated.
I understand.
Anything further you want to add?
Oh no, that's that.
So, with that being said, before we close out, let me end off by saying this, ladies and gentlemen. If this is indeed a work, then please take everything we've said with a grain of salt. Because if it was a work, then hey, we all fell for it. But if this was a legitimate shoot, then again, then you know, everything we said stands.
Right.
But so with that being said, that's gonna end it for this special edition of the contracts. I definitely want to thank each and every one of y'all for taking the time out of your busy schedule to come and chill with me and the Humble Man. I definitely want to thank the Humble Man also for taking the time out of his busy schedule for this special edition.
Of course, as always, you know that. Whenever it is you need me, you know I'm always there.
Yep. And you know, ladies and gentlemen, if you enjoyed the video, hit the like button, comment if you feel like it. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss a new video. And until next time, by way of Struggle Vision Productions, it's the Hitman and the Humble Man, and we out. Peace.
Peace. We out of this bitch. Till next time. Till we do the NXT. We're gonna do the back here for the contracts for NXT in your house and WWE Hell in a Cell.
That's right.